Happy Wednesday, and I'm back with another Kids Take and Make activity this week. But before we get started, I wanted to remind everybody that this week you can bring a literary pumpkin to the library for our October contest. So a literary pumpkin is a pumpkin that you decorate. You're not going to carve it, you're going to paint it or glue things to it, and you can use a real pumpkin or a fake pumpkin, but you're going to use inspiration from your favorite book. So we've got some examples up at the library, but you can bring your pumpkin by anytime this week, and we're going to vote on our favorite pumpkins through the end of October. So if you're interested in doing that, you can drop off your pumpkin at the Columbus or Saluda Library. All right, today we are going to make a t-shirt tote bag with the Take and Make kit from this week. So if you have stopped by the Columbus or Saluda Library, you have picked up your t-shirt Take and Make bag that has a t-shirt that's either green or orange and has some paint inside of it and a paintbrush. So I'm planning on using my t-shirt tote bag for trick-or-treating and for candy. So the example that you may have seen at the library is of an orange t-shirt tote bag that looks like a pumpkin. And then today I'm going to use my green shirt and I'm going to make a monster. So I'm going to show you how to do that, but I've got my paintbrush, and I've got somewhere to put my paint on a plate here, and a pair of scissors and my t-shirt. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the sleeves off of my t-shirt, and I'm going to cut on the inside of the sleeve. Okay, I'm going to cut all the way up. These are really bright shirts, but I thought the orange ones and the green ones both looked like pumpkins and monsters, but you can paint anything on your shirt. All right, so I've cut one sleeve off. I'm going to cut the other one off. And the sleeves are going to make the handles of your bag. And this is a great way to recycle and make something new. So if you have an old t-shirt at home, you could make another t-shirt tote bag out of with this activity too. So it doesn't have to be a specific shirt. All right, so I've cut my sleeves off. I'm going to cut, since this shirt is really big, some of you may have smaller shirts in your kits, but if you have a big shirt, you may want to cut it a little bit. I'm going to cut probably like a good 6 or 7 inches off the bottom of mine, because I don't want my tote bag to be too big, but I don't want it to be too small, because if I'm going to trick or treat with it, I want to make sure that there's lots of room for candy. Okay, so I'm going to cut all the way across the bottom. Okay, and I'm just going to set my extra material over on the side. And then my last big cutting step that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all the way around the neck of the shirt. And this is going to be the opening of my t-shirt where my candy will go into. And if you're not using this for candy, you could use it for a library bag, and you could put your library books in your tote bag. So there's many things you can do with this. Okay, so I've got the neck cut off of my t-shirt, and my sleeves are cut off, and I also have some of the material already cut at the bottom. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to fringe the bottom part of my shirt, and that's going to be the part that we tie together to keep our bag closed. So I'm going to cut little strips all the way across the bottom. Okay. And these are just fringing strips. So I'm cutting both pieces of material, the front part of the shirt and the back part of the shirt, and making these little strips all the way across the sides. Well, all the way across the bottom, not the sides. Okay, and it will take a little bit of time. If you're using adult scissors for this, I would recommend you getting an adult to help you. If you're using kids scissors, that's okay too, but my hands right now, even when I'm just cutting a couple of strips, are getting tired, so you may want to take a break in between all of this cutting because it is a lot. Okay, I'm going to keep cutting my fringe. And I'm almost done, and all the way across the bottom of the shirt. Okay, now the two pieces on each end, there's one on the left side and one on the right side, that have the front and the back part of the shirt connected. So we want to make sure that we have two pieces that we can tie together. So I'm going to cut up the side of that one strip to make sure that we have a front piece and a back piece. And the same thing on the other side too. Okay, all right. Now this next part is my favorite part because we get to practice tying knots. So we're gonna take a front piece and a back piece and tie it one time together and kind of pull it tight. We're gonna tie it one more time. So this is called a double knot. So you're gonna tie one time together and then another time together. And this is going to make our bag nice and strong so it can hold lots of candy or books or whatever we're going to put in it. Okay, and I'm going to go all the way across. So each set, the front strip and the back strip, when you tie them together, you're going to tie it 2 times. That's called a double knot. Okay. I'm going to go all the way across my bag. When I tie these, I don't need to worry about cutting any of the fringe off, any of that extra material, because that's going to go on the inside of my bag, so you won't see that. If you wanted to leave it on the outside of your bag, you can do that too. You're just not going to want to flip your bag inside out like we're going to do in just a second. So if you want the fringe on the outside, you can leave it as it is and just paint the shirt how it is. But if you don't, we're going to flip our bag inside out. So our fringe strips are on the inside, so you're not going to see them. But some people like them. They could be really pretty. All right. I'm almost done. I've got 4 or 5 more left. So I'm double knotting still all the way across. Oops. And this is the part that takes the longest, is tying all of these little pieces together. But I've only got 1 more left, so it didn't take me very long. Okay. So like I said, you can choose to leave the fringe on the outside of your bag, okay? So it's got some funky little shapes at the bottom, or you can turn it inside out. So I'm going to turn mine inside out. That way this printed part of the shirt is on the inside, so I can make my own design on the outside. So I've got a bag that looks just like this, okay? And it's got handles on it. I'm going to go back and trim off this little tail that I ended up with from cutting the sleeve off. And you may not end up with one of these, so that's okay. So I've got a shirt that looks just like this, okay? And the next part is I'm going to use the paint that's in my bag. So to keep the material from bleeding through with the paint, I'm going to put a piece of my extra fabric on the inside, okay? And that's going to keep it from going anywhere crazy, like on the back part of my shirt. And I'm going to paint a design on the front. So you could put your name on here, you could draw a pumpkin, or I'm going to draw a monster on mine. So I'm going to paint all the way across the top for his eyebrow. When I put my paint on here, I want to make sure that I have time to let it dry. So you don't want to do this like before you go trick-or-treating, of course, because your bag will still be wet. But We've got plenty of time between now and then, so I'm just going to paint his eyebrow all the way across. He's a monster, so he's got like a scary looking eyebrow. And then, got some eyeballs. I'm going to paint on here. I had to make his eyebrow a little bit longer because that eyeball was too big. Okay, and I'm not going to give my monster a nose, but I am going to give him kind of a scary looking mouth. I think my monster is going to look kind of like Frankenstein when I'm done. That's what I hope he's going to look like. Paint in the back of his mouth. That way you really see his crazy teeth up here in the front. I think maybe he had too much candy. That's why he only has 2 teeth. Okay, so I've got our scary monster. I'm going to give him some stitches over here on the side because this scary monster needs some stitches. But like I said, if you don't want to do a monster, you don't have to do a monster. You can do a pumpkin if you want. You could do, you could write your name in a really cool way in the paint. That would be fun. All right, guys. When you're all finished, you're going to let your t-shirt tote bag dry and then take the extra material out from the inside and hopefully fill it up with candy. Have fun!